Hi, welcome everyone to Be Revealed live with Wendy Watson. I thank you so much for joining our show. The mission for this show is to show our audience and to show the world that there's an infinite number of ways to be able to define spirituality. It is so unique to each individual person that it really cannot be contained to one definition or to one box. And I do ask, there's a lot of courage and vulnerability that our guests show by being on here to show their stories, their very intimate stories with their spirituality and their journey, that I do ask you to attend and listen with an open mind, an open heart, and allow them the free space to be able to share their journey with you. So with that being said, we have an amazing guest today. Her name is Nicky Cuesta. Nicky, would you like to introduce yourself for just a moment?
Hello. Yes, thank you so much, Wendy, for having me here this morning. Super excited to be able to join you on this topic. I am the CEO and founder of Bomb Global, and I'm ready to share whatever we have to share today.
Awesome. Thank you. So I always like to start with one main question, and that is, how do you define spirituality? What does spirituality mean to you?
So, spirituality means to me the infinite opportunity to embrace what our world has for us, right? What um, our faith and what we believe in, and taking us on that journey to impact the things that we decide to do in our lives and really be able to tap into what's available to us in our faith and how we walk life together as individuals, and really taking the time to spend time in that space and finding our identity in that. And how we do that is really by, again, just adopting something that, what our core values are, and really taking that space in everything that we do. So spirituality is something very close to me and my journey, and without having that faith, I don't think I will be where I'm at today.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. So let's talk about how you were brought up and how faith or spirituality or religion or any of those terms were brought into your household.
Yeah, so my grandmother she was Pentecostal, and I didn't really grow up directly in the church by my parents. They were actually with my grandmother, Sunday school. But then as I got older and entered my teenage years, her children, my aunts and uncles, including my mom, were Catholics, or at least we did our confirmations, our communions, and things like that. Never again really being 100% attached where I visited every week or did Bible study, just the times that we were with our grandmother. So church really wasn't in my life, I would say between 6 and 15 or so, until I found a non-denomination church myself, being introduced by a friend in high school, and really taking the opportunity to go visit that church and really love what offer, and loved what I felt while I was there, and the messages I felt like were always being spoken to me directly. As a teenager, I did that for about 2 years and kind of dropped off after just kind of going through life itself, right, on my own, without, someone or the word to really guide me through my day to day. And it wasn't until my son actually did his confirmation that I was able to finally find a church in 2020 of February. So
Okay.
it's kind of off and on.
Yeah. So how do you feel like the foundation of the Pentecostal and at least the um, brief approach of Catholicism, how do you
Yeah.
feel like that helped you to root into what you believe?
So it helped me to identify what I didn't want from a what we call church, a space that we want to bring our families to. And not that there was anything wrong. It was just I just didn't feel connected to those spaces. Being introduced to them again, when I go into a sanctuary of God, I want to feel his presence. I want to hear the word. I want to be able to be attached to something, and have a purposeful meaning in my journey spiritually. And I just wasn't getting that. But when I did find my church, I found just a bigger relationship where, I didn't need a building for that, right? I didn't need a place to go. So I can do it in my home. I could do it in my car, having those conversations, really believing and tapping in to those, to the spirit. As I went on my day to day. So, just briefly going through those things again, I just felt lost, felt like, no one, I really had no one to really guide me and say, hey, this is the way, or, check this out. And so again, one of my friends from the company I was working with said, hey, just come and check us out. And when I went, and my son actually went with me, and we experienced the Holy Spirit and just change and a shift. When we attended at the church back in February of 2020, the biggest thing for me was getting in my car, just having an emotional breakdown. And my son said, Mom, I've never felt anything like that before. Can we make this our church? And that was huge for me. That was like the confirmation that, okay, here we're gonna start stepping into this. And we did.
Yes, it's so beautiful. It's like giving me the chills. So I love that. So what was the biggest difference? Was it just the energy? Was it just the connection? Was it the large amount of people that were connecting together? Like, what was the caveat, or what was the special thing that one church or facility had?
Yeah, so the difference was it was definitely modern. Obviously, it was our age group. All age groups really, but it's really the welcoming, right? It's really important to be in a place where you are welcome, not judged, and people see you regardless of what your background is, or what you might have done in the past. And it was again the receiving portion. It was that connection. It was the worship. That was also another thing that I wasn't used to in my Catholic faith, right? We didn't have that just praise and the glory for the Holy Spirit and God, which was truly different. And I think that's what captivated my son the most as well, as he is an artist and he just loves music and beats, and the opportunities that we had to serve as well, that they were really in community. And as you know, community is my thing. It's something that I grow every day. It's my ministry, with what I do with Bomb Global. And it is because I was given the opportunity to have this mindset to be able to deliver that. So when I received that and I felt that, and the connections, and being prayed over, and just knowing that there was hope for my future, for my child's future, and for what we want to create and really share with the world, I just knew I was at the right place.
Let's love it. Yeah. What got my attention was being in community. Whether we're talking about spirituality, church, business, our neighbors, right? Our family. There's this really deep connection when you're truly in community with the people that are in your world, with the people that are in your circle, right? There's really something beautiful about that. So is there any adversity, being raised kind of in church, Pentecostal and Catholicism? Was there any adversity from your family or anybody else in your journey to step away from them?
No adversity at all. In my family, we were all given that space to decide ourselves, right? Again, these were family members that that took us through that journey, because if you're going to get married, you have to have these sacraments, so it wasn't really. And unfortunately my grandmother passed in 1994, so no one was really continuing that Pentecostal faith in my circle, because a lot of our family members also moved and separated to all over the world. That again, no guidance to say, hey, this is the way. So really finding that journey myself, I was totally okay with it, when I was ready to step into that and to form that relationship with God, and to really decipher how I wanted to incorporate that in my day to day, that I was blessed that I didn't have adversity. It was more of a just follow what your heart feels.
Mhm.
In my the only adversity I can say is that my spouse of 22 years believes, but also doesn't attend. So that was kind of probably the little adversity that I had, but it wasn't major to where they were like, oh, well, you can't do that. Like, I don't believe in that. And it didn't mess up anything. They were very encouraging. So again, it was just mine and his relationship. So
Yes. And that's a great point to bring up, because there's a lot of families, especially these days, where they get together, but they have different faiths or different beliefs. So are you willing to share, and it's okay if you're not, what agreement your family has come up with as far as who attends, who doesn't attend, why, and really honoring their belief system, but keeping the family together?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have really a common agreement. Everyone is their own person individually. So we respect each other's decisions on how we want to walk in our faith each and every day. So again, my son, who has attended with me, he's okay either way, right? So his relationship and his journey, he's a teenager, he's 19 now, so it's like you still have to walk, believe, and do these things, but you get to do it your own way. Again, we are all individuals. I'm my own person. If I choose to go, if I choose to step into that's what I do. And everyone's okay with what our decisions are, as long as we stay respectful. You know, for those that are in our family that are non-believers, or that, just haven't, had that experience yet, or chooses not to, I will continue to evangelize, right? Just say, hey, this is what it's done for me in this amount of time. And if you're going through a struggle, you have to find something spiritually that's going to keep you one sane. It's great for your mental health. It's great for just your heart as a whole, just being a human and living in purpose. Like, we have to have some type of attachment to that spiritual being that lives inside of us, but we are definitely okay with respecting everyone's decision.
Oh, I love that so much. I do, because it really is an individual journey.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't force somebody to connect with God or whatever spirit, universe, whatever it is that they believe in, right? So I do really appreciate that. Speaking of, what kind of tools do you use in order to maintain your spirituality, in order to, like, as you said, maintain your mental health, your spiritual health, all the things as you go through life as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, as a podcaster, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend and a daughter, and all the things that are you? What do you use to help with your spiritual and mental health?
Yeah, so what I use is obviously having my Bible, having my journal, my prayer journal at that, and just really tapping into taking the time in meditation, in prayer, in worship. So I add that to my schedule, right? If it's intentional, it's on the schedule, and I take that time. It's a non-negotiable. Obviously life gets in the way where, things kind of just pull you left and right, and you have to make that decision. on really replacing those things, right? And being able to identify what's the priority, what's important. Sometimes when, I am taken off course because I'm not perfect, I am taken off course. I just feel that my days can be more off than others. I feel a little lost in that when I don't have those things in my day-to-day routine because I'm so used to it. I look forward to it. And again, my life in the last 3 years has manifested through it, right? Almost going on well, actually it's 4 years. My life has manifested through that faith, through that belief, through that just jumping in to the unknown, right? Just believing that I'm walking in my purpose. So the other tools that I have is we have a community that we've built that we depend on prayer, right? We're always praying for each other. We're always we feel like that a spiritual battle has been really trying to attack our journeys, and we have bonded together the sisterhood that we've created through Ladies of Leadership. That's another huge tool that we were able to build and create. We have prayer warriors over our events, over our struggles, our pains, and we're going back to that community sector. We are doing it together. So it's a beautiful thing to witness and watch. It's not anything that I imagined when I decided to build the group 2 years ago, but it manifested into that because, again, I feel that his presence is always going to be there, whether we want it or not. And I'm glad that we all want it. And we feel it, and we're feeling the shifts, the changes, and the empowerment that we get within walking in that and believing that he is all things, and that he is moving these things along, and we're just being great stewards of anything that he puts in our way. So having those tools, having the group, the individuals that you can relate to, and really keeping that community in that spirituality, and it just makes it easier.
Yes.
We're not open. We don't anyone doesn't push any of their particular beliefs, but we know that we serve spirit, and that it's making changes, and we need to have it.
It's really important to have that community of like-minded, respectable people, no matter what it is that you believe in. Even if you're an atheist, right? Having that community of like-minded people to help support you in whatever it is that your journey is, or whatever it is that you believe in, is incredibly important. And like you said, just not pushing any particular agendas, but allowing people to be who they are, and just being that support factor for whatever their journey is, right? So as humans, we all go through adversity, as women, as people of culture. How do you use your spirituality to get you through your challenges in life, be it as a culture, person of color, be it as a woman, be it, simply as a human being? How do you use that to maintain who you are through your life challenges?
Great question. And one thing that I can honestly say is I don't believe in labels, any type of labels. And I think having that and having no judgment and having the heart of accepting everyone right where they're at, as long as integrity is intact, as long as honesty is intact, transparency, and just being our genuine selves, we can be connected for life, right? So again, it's no challenge when I get to meet a person, no matter again where they're at, how it doesn't, I don't allow it to affect me and my journey. Again, it's an individual walk of life. But we're all human. We all need some type of connection, some type of bond. That's what we're here for. We're here to be beings together and creating these opportunities. And our only job is to share how spirituality has changed our lives, right? And how it can change others, but it's their ultimate choice to walk in that faith, whatever faith they choose to walk in. Again, it's our responsibility to continue to share the growth. Just a few things happened yesterday that was so powerful, that I just couldn't believe it. Someone prayed over me prophetically, and I got a call that I've been waiting for months on a project that we've been working on. I held a prayer journal that I just received in the mail, and holding it had the power that whatever I write in here will manifest because of the promises in the word, right? But I have to be able to steward that and be able to live that out in my faith, and know that even though I can't see it, feel it, taste it just yet, it's coming, and it's going to make a change for the world. So yeah, I don't think that I can make it or say it as simple as that, that there's absolutely no judgment. And,
So what I'm hearing, there's a couple of things that I heard in that. One is you take ownership of your space. You take ownership of how you feel, how you choose to feel, how you allow other people to choose to make you feel or not make you feel, right? So you have that choice. You have taken ownership of your being in all aspects to where you choose whether or not somebody has an effect on you or not. And and just loving and respecting, but taking ownership of your space, which I think is incredibly important in every aspect of life, right? There's so many people that I hear of that's just like, oh, this woman made me feel this way. Well, that's your choice to allow it.
Absolutely.
Right? But a lot of people don't see it that way. So really taking ownership of your space and what you allow or disallow is, I think, number one to any kind of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health. Because when you allow other people to affect you, now you're taking in somebody else's energy and you don't know what it is.
Correct.
Right? So keeping yourself clean of other people's energies and other people's beliefs and emotions and all that stuff really helps you to stay true to who you are.
Absolutely. Every day.
Yeah. And the other thing that I heard in that is manifestation is key, right? So, there's power in words. Like we all know that at this point, right? And there's power in actions. So whatever it is that you're saying or feeling is what you're going to manifest, right? Whether that's anger or joy, whether that's money or debt, whatever that is that you're speaking, that you're feeling, that you're writing down in your journal, that's what you're going to manifest.
Right.
And it sounds like you are a great manifester.
I would think so. I mean,
well,
life has been really, again, just going 4 years back when I made that decision to really walk in that faith. If I look back, I can only say that I am just a walking testimony of just that I have manifested what I wanted my life to look like and choose. Have there been bumps in the road? Are there still bumps in the road? Absolutely. It's not perfect. There's never a clear straight line. But to know that I'm able to tap into that power that I have within my belief, that things happen, right? And I love that you said it's choices. It's absolutely choices. And I always choose joy over anything in life, because there's no time for me. There's no time to complain. There's no time I am all about creating those solutions. And again, just going through faith and really jotting down exactly what you want in your lifestyle, who you want as a business partner, who you want as a life partner, who do you want, and really assigning those characters and their personalities and what type of energy you want in your sphere. You have the opportunity to manifest all of that, but you have to clearly define it. And, you know, that's why journaling has been so strong for what has happened in the last couple of years, because I'm very clear on what I want it to look like. Now, is it going to look as clear as I want it? No, there's still things, there's still external sources that can tap in, and it's all up to you to see how you can overcome them. And again, through your spirituality, through your faith, it's kind of hard to be touchable.
Yeah. You know, I love what you said about creating a vision about what you want your life to look like and what kind of people you want involved in your life. So how did you find the clarity, and how did you see, even if it's in your mind's eye, whether you're using your mind's eye or your eyeballs, right? Because it's still some sort of sight, in my opinion. How did you see or clarify the vision 4 years ago of what you wanted your life to look like? And then how did you put the actions into place, or the manifestations into place in order to create that?
Great question. No one's ever asked me that. I love it. So first you have to get fed up with what's already happened, with what you're going through and those life cycles that you're like asking yourself to the point, why me? Why can I get ahead? What can I do? What problems can I solve for myself? And again, it goes back to taking ownership and really demanding it from yourself. Self-reflection was a great thing, you know, in the last year of my corporate job, just what I put in, and what I was tired of feeling and seeing and doing, that I knew that I had more to give. So I really had to make up my mind and say, okay, well, this is what I want it to look like. So I had to go through different mindsets, the mindset of courage. I had to step back and to say, well, what is the biggest courageous thing I've ever did before that would allow me to empower myself to leave this corporate job that I know it's not going to get me to where I'm at. So when I tapped into that, I was like, well, you know, at 18, when my mom left Chicago, because that's where I'm from, and she moved to Philly, and I initially didn't come with her, you know, because I was 18, I had a job and I was still in school and all that stuff. And then at 19, I was like, I want to go someplace where no one knows my name. I want to walk down the street. I want to find my purpose, because I really wasn't doing anything. So I had to create that choice for myself and say, hey, I'm just going to do it. I have no kids. I have no attachments really to this city besides my best friend and some other family members. But again, I had to take that leap of faith to see what Philadelphia can do for me. And I did. It's really the first chapter in my book, courage. That's the first mindset. And then being ready for the changes, and then filling out those expectations. What does that look like? And then taking the action, and so on and so on. It's really how I've been able to create the success I've been creating. Am I done? Absolutely not. I still have a whole lot more to go.
Yes, you do.
But that's really what I did, is I made the choice and I stepped into them faithfully, that if it was in my mind and it was downloaded by the spirit and the being, then there's a reason why. And I had to take that step. And a lot of times we're fearful, and life is not meant to be walked in fear. Like we outbeat. So I don't want to say this on here, but I hope if you don't mind, we outbeat 50 million sperms to be here, you know, our being to be here. God created us in his image, and our purpose is just so powerful. And when we can tap into that, when we can go there and see it. And then I actually joined the manifestation. I met this woman at my first event that I've ever attended, right? And that was the first step, is getting into rooms of what I was looking for and what I wanted to create, and started the connections, the genuine relationships, the conversations. And I joined a manifestation community that gave me some more tools from what I already had, but they just amplified what we already know. And it just kept on that way until today. And it will continue until my last breath.
Yep. So the part of that that stuck out the most for me that I really want our audience, like I really hope our audience allows this to sink in. You asked yourself, what is the most courageous thing I have done so far to allow yourself to, allow yourself to empower yourself. So I asked the audience, those listening, what is the most courageous thing you have done so far that you can allow that energy of that courage and the bravery that you had to do in order to do that thing to help empower you to get over whatever hurdle that you're experiencing right now? Because I think that is a crucial first step to being able to fuel yourself, right? A lot of the times we get so bogged down with what's in front of us and what we're focusing on right now that we forget what we've already done.
Yeah.
We lose sight of all the things that we have already done. One of the things that I advise with my clients is to create an achievement board, similar to a vision board, right? A vision board is for the future. An achievement board is to remind you what you have already accomplished. Right? So you create the pictures and the mirage and the collage and all the things, and you put it up to where you can see it and you're like, man, yes, I've done that. You know, so when you're tired of hearing 100 no's and you're still looking for that yes, and you're getting frustrated, or, you know, somebody just called you out on something, or somebody was rude at the store, whatever it is, you can see that and be like, I'm a bad, bleep, 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 right? I'm a bad boss, whatever it is that you call yourself. And you can be like, yeah, I've already done this, or I've done all of these things. And it's so self-empowering, it's confident, it's encouraging, it's, you know, all the positive things that we need in order to help us to move forward. And so that's going to lead me into my amazing next question is what do you have? What advice do you have for people that are still stuck in that fear factor, or that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't like to self-reflect.
Yeah, they don't.
There's a lot of people out there that don't like to do the work. So what is your advice to them to help encourage them to do the work, to help encourage them to do the self-reflection and take the self-ownership in order to manifest the life that they want?
Wow, that's a loaded question, but definitely one that needs to have a conversation with for sure. The first thing I will say is, again, reflection is I'm a data collector, right? I journal everything from what I'm feeling, what caused that feeling, if I have an off day, if I have a good day, all of those things. Oh, I love the cat. All of those things matter. What we do on a day-to-day, how we feel, how we make our choices, you know, who's in our circles, all that. We have a decision to make. Everything that we've been, how can I say, I'm not going to say brainwashed, but everything that we have been taught to do as just as children to teenage years to adulthood, the advice that I would give is go back to all of that. And sometimes you don't want to do it because you know what you've already done, right? But also know that spirit knows that too. So it's not like you can hide it. We may not share it with certain people in our lives, but that just makes up our DNA, right? That makes up who we are, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that can transform us to who we want to be, right? Those are our lessons. Those are the things that we've went through that no one can change. Unfortunately, we cannot change that. But what can we do to make it better for our future, right? How do we take those messages, those messes in our life and change it into messages? So journaling is spot on, the number one thing. write it down, write a letter to yourself, write a letter to your old self, write a letter to your future self, write a letter to your current self. If money is a struggle, write a letter to money. The experience you had with money this whole time. When I was in this manifestation course, we were asked to write a letter to money. Like, how do you feel about money? What were we taught about money, and what can you do with money, right? Obviously, money is a resource for us to continue to impact. It gives us a tangible path to be able to do it, but you don't need money to create impact either, right? So it's like a catch-22. So all these things matter, but reflection is you're going to cry. You're going to feel convicted. You're probably going to be more empowered than you ever are, because once you write that and you decide this is no longer me, I can move past this, and now I can create a new sense of what my life will look like and take action to that and stay that course. Nothing can stop you. Fear should not be in your way ever. You should not allow fear is again, it just goes back to a story we tell ourselves. How many times, Wendy, have we said, okay, we have to tell this to someone, or we have to give this news, and we have predetermined what their response would be?
Yep.
And we threw all different scenarios out there. And when we go into that conversation and they take it lighter than we ever expected, and they are with you, they understand, they come to an agreement, terms, whatever, and you're like, oh my God, that wasn't so bad. Because again, we're human. Have grace on yourself, have grace on your past. And remember, you can recreate your future. You own the pen to your story. And if you want it to be changed, just start taking action. Reflect on, again, what empowered you and what version of you you didn't like. And not that you can erase it because it's there, but you don't have to hold on to it. Yep. You can leave it right at that letter, right at that journal, and start creating the future for yourself. So,
you know, our parents, grandparents, the community that raises us, they teach us what they want to teach us. You know, just like we teach our kids what we want to teach them. But then it's still up to you to decide at some point whether or not that teaching, that belief, that mantra, whatever it is true for you. And I think that is the part of growing up, right? And becoming mature is, you know, so I love the fact writing it out will help you to see it with your own eyes. And there's this magic that happens when the brain connects with the arm and writes it out and then connects with the eyes, right? So, and then there, I don't know what it is, but there's like this chemical, there's this magic that happens when all three of those things get connected. And then you're like, oh, that's what that is. Right? And then it's a choice of whether or not you want to keep that or change it. And maybe you just need to make an amendment to it. Maybe you need to rewrite the whole contract, the whole belief system. You know, maybe you just need to tweak a word or two in there, right? Because one, like I said, like we both said, words are powerful. So sometimes just tweaking one word out of that whole belief or that whole thought process can make a big difference in how you see it or how you act on it, right? All of those things. Yeah. So I love that. My next question for you is, how do you use fear as a beneficial tool?
I love that question. Fear is fuel for me, because fear does set in, right? We have those inner haters, that inner voice that again tells you that story that you can't, you're not worthy. Who do you think you are? No one's gonna listen. All that nonsense, I'm just gonna say. Yeah. And they creep in at the most worst times, especially when you're so excited about, this new download, this new thing, this new relationship, and all those things come back. So what you need to do with that is, again, it always goes back to reflection. It has to. It always goes back to journaling. The way I deal with it is when fear tries to seep in, I always go back to, if I do this, what are, what are the consequences? Who does it impact? Is it aligned with my goals? Is it aligned with my family's goals? Is it aligned? Like, I take everything into consideration. And then I make the choice to either move forward or don't. And either way, it's your choice and no one can tell you otherwise. And if you happen to miss an opportunity, then, maybe there's some other tools that you need as far as educating yourself on these different things that you're trying to step into and trying to grow. Again, that journaling, those decisions, those opportunities to be able to decipher those things is also another tool, a powerful tool that you have to create and manifest what it is. Those are, again, you tap into capabilities that you didn't even think or dream of that you have. And it's just a sense of relief that I'm able every day to have. I mean, we have to make, and I wrote it in my book, I think we have to make about 50,000 choices a day. What are we going to wear? Am I going to wear my hair down? Is it raining? Should I not go? Should I go? All these things matter. Life is all about decisions. Am I going to take a nap? Am I going to stay up late and, finish this report or whatever it is? It just goes back to just finding who you are, your identity, and knowing your core values. And how do you want to present yourself to the world? And it's a beautiful thing to have the power to have that choice. And with faith, sometimes you don't know the answers. We're not going to know all the answers, but that's okay. We don't need to. We don't need to ask questions. If we just do and take action, we get results, we analyze it, we have the data, and we keep going.
Yes. So I love that process. I call that process my devil's advocate, right? Because it forces me to go back and reassess my decision making, whether or not it's aligned with my principles, my values, the vision, all the things. And so it will either help solidify me in my decision and my goal, or it'll help me to identify the weak points that I need to adjust in order to make it the right decision.
Absolutely. It's always a story.
Yeah. So use it as your devil's advocate, right? Use it as your justifier. Use it as your confidence builder for that decision or that choice.
Agreed. 100,000%.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so we've talked about fear, we've talked about encouragement, we've talked about confidence, all of these amazing things. How do you implement that? I mean, I think we've already kind of talked about it as far as implementing it in business. But I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this question, because there's the implementation of it in business as far as decision making and that kind of stuff. But how do you implement that in business in terms of marketing, who you partner with, who you JV with, the guests on your show, those aspects of business?
Yeah, the great question. You definitely have to be vigilant, right? You have to take all things into consideration as you are building a brand. It's just part of the journey. And again, knowing yourself, knowing your core values, what you align with, and staying true to that. The way I do it is, again, I vet, my conversations. I connect with people in all my communities. We have our chat calls, right? Like we're doing right now. And we ask these questions and we kind of get to know people first. Um, when we're getting to know people, I can sense energy and the synergy. And I felt that with you. You were on our podcast, and it's those things that, again, you're never gonna know what is true. But when you have faith and you give everyone the benefit of the doubt, right? No judgment at the beginning. It's all like everyone has full access to your space, um, with boundaries, of course, and being able to just nurture that, and build that relationship. It has to be true. It has to be authentic. And you're going to find those that have a hidden agenda. They have an ulterior motive. My spouse says so. You're going to be able, to you should be able to identify that. And when you don't identify that and you feel that you have been that you had probably made the wrong decision, or you should have did a little bit more of your homework to know those aspects of when you're partnering with people. Perfect example, I partner with Desiree Cruz for the Warrior Women Bomb Global Conference. I was part of her anthology, Warrior Women, and I have my company, and she had a vision that she seems, we both align with empowering women, with creating a space for them to just freely come, share their story, have a sisterhood, build that. And it's faith-based, right? And it's all about uplifting and creating this magic. And when she asked me to partner up with her, it was an instant no-brainer, because I already knew her, right? I already knew what her mission was, knowing what we have done together in the past. And to be able to spread that word, I had to be discerning. Okay, is this what is my mission? What is my goal? And it was actually a match made in heaven, truly, because what my how can I say, what my weaknesses were, and what her powers were, we were able to match that, and vice versa, right? We were able to fit the missing pieces as a collaboration, that we were able to get 80 plus women in a room and empower them to the point where they wanted it to be summer camp. But you're not always blessed with those partnerships. I've heard her horror stories about people that took a chance on someone and they've been burnt or betrayed, and they just kind of are skeptical. And I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to be skeptical of anything and everyone. And maybe I'm just an optimist, and I'm just, I just feel that life is just worth living. It's grand, and people definitely want to create impact. And, God is bringing those exact people to my life, that, again, I just go and give everyone a chance. And then, and the mindset that I have is, everything comes out to the light. I am willing to take the risk on someone if I feel that energy and synergy. And it is there. How do I say that? It's up to them to tear that relationship apart. I know what I bring to the table. And I've been able to express that with those that I'm connected to. And I'm just not going to lose sleep if I get burnt. I'm just going to be more vigilant the next time, right? So it's just really adopting, how do you want to navigate those things? Create a system for yourself for those different types of situations, is huge. It's huge. And that's what I've created. I created a system. I'm watching, I'm connecting, and I'm, figuring it out along the way. And, thankfully it has worked for me for the last 4 years.
So what I'm hearing is that, number one, you build relationships first.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, right? And so that has to be a mutual agreement.
Correct.
Right? So when you lead with relationships first, you can tell when somebody's willing to put the effort in to building that relationship. And if they're willing to put the effort into building the relationship, then they'll be more willing to put in the effort into making money together. Right. I think that was number one. And number two was really using your energy, your faith, your beliefs to vet them, not to judge them, but to vet them.
Great point. Yeah.
Yes. And so by allowing your energy and your beliefs to vet them and make sure that they fall in line with that, then you know that they're in line with your vision, with your beliefs, and therefore it'll be a better match.
Right.
Because you guys are in alignment with each other, right? So, and I'm pointing those out because I think those are the two most important, right? Number one, start with the relationship. Number two, allow, because some people do know how to do that. And some people don't know how to do that. They try and logic it versus, there's a lot of brainiacs out there that love to logic. And, there's a point where data collecting is incredibly important, right? But it's not all about the data. It's also about the spiritual feelings. It's also about the energy feelings and tuning into that particular connection that you're really talking about, that I think some people are missing or needs to be brought to some people's attention so that you can use those to vet.
Right.
So my next question for you is, spiritually speaking, how do you see judgment different from vetting?
Ooh, again, just coming up from the culture that I come up from, which I'm Puerto Rican, right? No, nothing against them, love them, they're beautiful, loving people. But you have those that are like, the biggest thing I hate is when I go to a party and someone hasn't seen someone for so long, the first thing they say is, oh my God, either you're so skinny or you're so big. And like that just drives me nuts. Especially the judgment, right? Oh, she's letting herself go. Maybe she doesn't come out because her boyfriend doesn't let her, or her husband, like all these things. And none of that matters for me, for a person. It's really about, I accept you just the way you are. I have friends that, perfect example, I have some friends that are a little intense to really talk to and be with in a crowd, like in a space, where I have another friend that would kind of judge that person. Oh, they're too much for me. And I've been truly blessed to be able to adapt to anyone's characteristic. They're like, because I just love people, period. So in, again, having these conversations and building these relationships and getting on these phone calls or face-to-face connections, I don't really think about anything about their background. It's just who you are today. What are your goals for tomorrow? And how can I be part of that journey? Right? What are your beliefs? What is your core system? And sometimes I find that they don't even know. So that's a perfect opportunity. If I have the tools, let me start sharing it. Like, I'll go back to that. Hey, have you ever reflected on X, Y, and Z? And this is probably why you're stuck today. Go, always lending, my tips or just advice. And spiritually, like God doesn't judge. So why should I? I have no right. I'm not perfect. Again, everyone has their story. I'm ready to hear it, at any point in time. And also, we also as humans have to understand that we don't know what people's past are unless we ask, right? And sometimes we just don't ask because we don't want to intrude. But when you're building those relationships, I hope that people are open. And for some reason, I don't know if I just bring that aura with me, that I can get on first time calls and people would just totally be open and vulnerable. And they will say, I don't know, I feel like I can tell you anything. And you get that, right? You're like,
I so get that.
yes. And it's just the presence. Again, it's a gift, right? That some people just have, that you when you have that connection, that's a connection you have to really tap into and see, okay, where is this going to go for the both of us? Not even thinking about a business relationship. Like, how can I support you? How can I pray with you? How can I, you know, do life with you, and have our families come together to break bread and different things. Like, life is just meant to be together. And those are the kind of things I do. I just take them right where they're at, accept them immediately until they prove me otherwise.
I love that take on judgment. So what is your take on being vetted?
Vetted. Okay. So again, you have to be the take on being vetted is we can't have egos, right? I have built a particular community that I know is a safe space. I definitely don't want any judgment there. So I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking out, responses. I'm checking out what your lifestyle looks like. And I will ask those questions when I'm vetting, like, and I'm really upfront with what I'm looking for. What is the expectation? I'm all about the hot everything, right? The honest, open, and transparent. I think it's so important for us to be able to be genuine and just be real upfront, that we don't make the mistake in bringing someone into our circle that can potentially damage that.
So what I'm hearing is that you listen for certain things to make sure they are in alignment with you, and that's being vetted, versus judging somebody for their decision making or, the way that they look or something along those terms, right? There's a bit. So I love exploring the difference between being judgment being versus being vetted. All of a sudden I can't speak. Because a lot of people will combine them or think that they're the same thing, and they're really not. And I actually take honor and respect when somebody is vetting me. And, because that means if you say yes to me, that means I'm worthy of being in your circle. And I'm worthy of doing business with you. And if we're not, then we're not. It just means that we're not in alignment with each other. So I love that take on it. So one last question before we wrap up. What is the one thing that you would like the audience to take away from your interview today on spirituality? What is that main thing that you want to leave them with?
Yeah, so I would love to leave the audience with just the exploration of who you are, how you want to walk in life, right? We don't know how many days we have here. And every day counts. My tagline is make it count, right? So it's make every second count and live your life exactly the way you want to. Sometimes we feel like we don't have a say in that, and we have 100,000% say in how we want, even though the external things can take effect. But again, just go back to the choices, the power of having a choice to go either way. And to be true to yourself, to build true, authentic relationships. And this is not even just for business, but this is in your life. Like, what friends do you want? What couples do you want to have go on vacations with? What, different things. And it's really all about loving on people and not judging people, and giving them that opportunity to have them be in your world once you vet them and things like that, because we're just all looking for a place to belong.
Mm-hmm.
And spiritually, that's something that we need, not just for our heart, for our minds, for our souls, for our, hey, that's so cute. For all of that. Just go and reflect after hearing this, you might need to hear it again. I'm all about replaying and having things on loop when it really hits home. So yeah, so what I would say is go back, reflect, create, manifest, and I'm sure that you can tap into someone in your circle that has already went through these steps that you can also tap into and connect with, and they will guide you. Sometimes, you know, we feel like we're lost, we don't have the tools. There's plenty of tools out there that can get us exactly what we're looking for. So I thank you for the opportunity to be able to share.
Absolutely. And if you don't have somebody in your circle, find somebody, right? Because there are those situations where we really don't have somebody in our circle to help give it. Like I didn't have somebody in my life that could give me that guidance. So I had to create it for myself, right? So if you don't have if you have somebody in your circle, fantastic. Please reach out to them, use them. And if you don't, create it for yourself. Find somebody, network, go to social community events, go to a church, you know, spiritual, whatever it is, you know, find some people that are one step ahead of you that can uplift you into that next step, right? That's why we need people in our lives like that. So thank you very much, Nicky. I so much appreciate your story today. And thank you for your courage and your vulnerability and sharing everything that you did with us today. It was beautiful material. I hope the listeners and the audience watching really find a lot. I mean, there was a lot of value in this show. So I hope that you take that value and you do something with it, and you take your life or your vision for your life to the next level. So thank you. Enjoy the show. Please comment and leave your feedback in the comments here so that we can see what you thought of this episode. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.